All right, well, welcome back. We are hopefully on our last series of video tutorials. This one, like our last one, is going to be about actual writing. So I don't want to waste too much time because I still want to get an essay done to show you we could get an essay done in 15 minutes. And tonight we got two. We have the persuasive to get through, and I have been told that a couple of you are finding argumentatives. So I want to show you how you could take a persuasive and turn it into an argumentative in about 5 minutes. So it'll just be an additional 5, make it a total of 20. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to go back and look at the actual test. This is taken from grade 5. Grade 5. If you go into the practice test, you can go in there and it will give you a whole series of articles dealing with service animals. These are animals that humans use, people use to help aid them with their either anxiety or discomfort of being out in public, their fears. It might be that they're not able to use their hands, so they need someone to help feed them, put their glasses on, things like that. And so these service animals are available for people. They're specially trained animals that are then given to these people to help them with life and be able to live and enjoy life more fully. However, one of the articles shows that there's been a new law that has been passed that only certain kinds of service animals can be used in public. And those are dogs and miniature horses. This primarily comes out of business problems. Businesses think that, if you have a snake or a bird or a capuchin monkey, or you have some other sort of unusual or unique service animal, that is kind of unhealthy. And so the business owners kind of put pressure on the lawmakers, and lawmakers said, okay, it has to be only dogs and only miniature horses. Those are the only two options if you're going out in public. If you're at home, it doesn't matter. But if you're out in public, then it does matter. And so we are told in this particular performance task that we need to write an opinion paper. That means it's persuasive. I got to pick one side. Do we allow only dogs and small horses? Or should people be allowed to use whichever animal best suits them in public? And you're going to sort of pick a side and then present or argue for that particular side. And I want to be careful with argue, because argue, it leads to a different type of writing. Similar, but still different. Persuasive, you're just going to pick one side and argue that side. Why do you think that people should be allowed to pick whichever animal? And just so that you know, we did do this. Remember, we had the outline. It was all done, and we reviewed it in a previous day 3 outline. And so we're going to go take a look at that as well. And so let's do that. Let's go take a look at what that looks like. Now let me get out of this one and get on yours. So this is what it looked like. It had a title. We have our spine. We have that thesis statement. Our thesis statement thus far was service animals should not be limited to dogs and tiny horses in public areas. Why? Because there's our connector. There's our connector word. Because service animals have limited movement, should provide comfort, and are clean when careful steps are taken. And then we broke that up. We stretched the spine and put each of those pieces into sentences that will open or begin each of our body paragraphs. And then we'll just wrap it up at the end. But over the night, I did this one. I kind of thought about it. I went, I don't really like some of the wording on this. I want to massage it a little bit. I want to polish it a little bit. So I've changed it just a smidge. So this is now what I've changed it to. And I think it more clearly expresses my opinion. And that's what you're going to have to do. So this one, I changed it a little bit, the wording on that first part. So it says service animals should not be limited to dogs and tiny horses in public places because animals have unique movement abilities. And I think that sounds better than service animals have limited movement. Because what I'm talking about is talking like fingers and things like that. Dogs don't have fingers, so they can't pick up things. They can't help feed you, stuff like that. So some people need to have animals with unique, very specialized movement abilities to help them. The rest of it I've kept pretty much the same. Now, what I've added is I've gone into my reading and I've added specific information. I've added a little explanation on each one. What am I thinking? It's not a huge deal. I'm not adding a lot. I'm just adding a little bit so I know where my flow of this paper is going to go. And I found sources. But let's go back to this paper and let's take a look, as we did last time with our informative essay. Let's take a look and see if there is anything we need to know. Now, this one says, you will now review your notes and sources, plan, draft, revise, and edit. That just means you're going to look at it, polish it, write it out, create a rough draft. You may use your notes. I hope that we have our notes on the side. You've been keeping notes as you've been going along. And go back to your sources. Now read your assignment and the information from about how your writing will be scored. Then begin your work. Now, to save time so that you're not on another 28-minute video, if you look down here at these bottom ones, all of this, these are exactly the same things that we had last time. Clear opinion. I understand what your point of view is by the time I finish the paper. It has it's well organized. It stays on topic. All of those are in your thesis statement. I know exactly what your opinion, your stance is, your position is. It's very clearly laid out. It's stretched so that I stay only with what I want to talk about, only what is in my thesis statement, what's in my spine. If it's not in the spine, if it doesn't come under that umbrella, I don't talk about it. Next, does it have an introduction and conclusion? Yep, it has an introduction and conclusion. We'll put that in there. And then it has transitions and details and et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to see. I don't see anything specific as how many sources this paper requires. It doesn't say one from each of the sources. There are 3 in this one, but I'm just going to use the ones. I want to get at least 2 different sources. If I can use all 3, I'll find a way to use 3, but at least 2, okay? And I will quote them. I'll put in parentheses at the end of a sentence, at the end of that particular piece of information, I will put source 2, source 3, whatever it happens to be, okay? All right, so, but other than that, it's exactly the same. There's really no difference. So let's go back then to our paper, okay? I'm not wearing my glasses. I probably should put them on if I'm going to be typing here. It is 8:39. So let's start. We're going to do it just like we did last time. We're going to start up here on the introduction. And that means we're going to start broad, very big, and then work down to this particular statement. I might want to put something in there about how laws are changing and how service animals are used by many people. In fact, that's probably how I will start. So service animals are a great help to many people. They provide comfort, provide comfort. What else do they provide? What are some other things they do? They provide comfort, help guide the blind, and I'm just going to say, and many other supports. Okay. However, here's my introduction to that opposite point of view. I just want to touch on it. I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on it, but I really have to talk about it a little bit so that the reader knows that I am against these new rules. However, new laws have been passed to restrict or limit the kinds of service animals people can use in public. Okay? And now I got to make my opinion very clear. This is wrong and unfair. Maybe I'll even put an exclamation mark because I'm really serious about this. Okay, so that's it. There's my whole deal. Now let's read this introduction. Does this introduction make sense? Does it satisfy? Does it work? Service animals are a great help to many people. They provide comfort, help guide the blind, and many other supports. However, new laws have been passed to restrict the kinds of service animals people can use in public. This is wrong and unfair. Service animals should not be limited to dogs and tiny horses in public areas because animals have unique movement abilities, should provide comfort, and are clean when careful steps are taken. Those are my reasons. Those are the things I'm going to present. That's my opinion piece. That's my proof. Now, does it look good? I think it looks pretty good. That's not bad. Can I use any sources yet? Oh, yes, I can. Because source 3 is the source that talks about how these new laws are restricting people and their service animals. So I can put my source 3 right there in the introduction. Woohoo! Now I can get rid of my introduction, that little piece at the top. I can get rid of that. I want to actually put an extra space there. And what do I got to put in here? Tab. Yep, absolutely. There you go. Now, next sentence, next body paragraph, or the first body paragraph, we're going to talk about the movements and why that isn't a good proof that limiting service animals to dogs and little horses in public is silly. I just said it's silly. You could say it's wrong. You can say it's unfair. You can use whatever word you're there. I'm just using silly. Again, it tells the reader I am against it because animals have unique movement capabilities. Now, this comes from source number 2, and it talks about capuchin monkeys. Because they have fingers like a human has fingers, they are able to pick things up like forks. They're able to help feed. They're able to put on clothes and caps and things like that. I don't know, but maybe they're even able to tie shoes. But can a dog do that? No, dogs don't do that. Can a tiny horse do that? No, not a tiny horse. That's not their function. They're limited. They don't have hands like a capuchin monkey does. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this one. That's my kind of like my argument, so to speak. So let's do that. I'm going to take this explanation out of the way. And we're going to do for example, and I'm going to get rid of this big C, make it little c. Capuchin monkeys have fingers to hold things. They can use a fork to help feed people. They can pick up things like hats, coats, or other pieces of clothing. But I'm gonna get rid of that dog, that capital E. But dogs, and I'm gonna say do not, let's say they cannot do these things. They have limited movement abilities. Okay. That's not bad. That's pretty good. So let me see where I'm going to put that source 2. Well, it talks about it in that article. It talks about that one, and it talks about that one, and it talks a little bit about that one. I think it's more about this one. So why don't we put it right here, and we're going to go source number 2. Boom. All right, and now I can get rid of this one. Now, if I wanted to, I could be extra fancy, and I could even add the title of this one. I could say, for example, in the article, animals helping people, comma, close, capuchin monkeys, instead of have fingers, well, we could change this to capuchin monkeys use their fingers to help feed people. Oops, not the period there because we're going to put it at the end there. So that's one. That's one way you can do it. That's kind of an interesting way of doing something a little bit different. It's a little bit fancy because now you've added the title as well as the source, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But that's not a bad deal. That's pretty good. So let's get rid of that source thing. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of all this other. Get up here. Let's get rid of that. What do I got to do? I got to push it in. And I can get rid of that extra space. Now I have 2 paragraphs. That's 2 paragraphs. Now let's do the second paragraph. This is service animals should provide comfort, but everyone does not bond with dogs and horses. So this is my next one. And we pulled this from 2 sources. The first part is service animals should provide comfort. That comes from source 2. And then there was an example of a man who only felt comfort with a snake. And that's what he felt comfort. He wouldn't feel comfort from a dog or a horse. In fact, there are some people who are actually afraid of dogs. And that would not be a good service animal for them, right? So let's grab this one. Let's move this back. Get rid of that explanation. So service animals should provide comfort, but everyone does not bond with dogs and horses. Service animals reduce stress and anxiety. That was in source number 2. But some people are afraid of dogs and other animals. Some people prefer snakes to dogs. That was in source number 3, right? That was the man that came into the restaurant or whatever and had the big snake around his neck. Okay, I still need to finish it up. So, not all animals are suited to bond or be a comfort. See, bond, let's make it and. Bond and be a comfort to every person. People are different and have different needs. Right? That's not bad. That's a pretty good one. That's number 2. Will that work, you think? I think so. What are we doing on time? 8:49. Ooh, I'm falling behind. Okay, talking too much. Got to do more writing. Let's put that one there. Last one. Animal owners can take steps to ensure any service animal stays clean while in public. And this one, we're going to use the source 3 again. And it talks about how business owners think that some animals are really unhealthy and they don't like it. So let's do that one. And we can put that one there. Some business owners might think, and we don't like contractions. We don't like things like don't, can't, it's. We're going to get rid of the apostrophe. Think it is unhealthy to have certain animals in public. I want something other besides but for now, because we're doing just a rough draft, we'll use but. But it is very common for small dogs to be seen wearing diapers. Even monkeys wear diapers to help keep things clean. Right? Now, this first part, I think it's unhealthy. That first sentence there, that was from source number 3. And so we'll put that one there. The rest of this is going to be just things that we've seen around town. I've seen dogs with little diapers on, and I've seen monkeys with diapers on. Would it be possible to put a pig in a diaper? Sure, why not? You could put almost any animal in a diaper. Could you, people could even put their service animal in small carrying purses or whatever. I think some of them put them in purses or bags. It would not be hard to keep things clean. Okay, that's good. That works. I think that'll be okay. So let's get rid of that body. And we'll come up and we'll push that one in. Now we just need a conclusion, right? So what are we going to do for conclusion? We're going to wrap it up. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of what we have spoken back already. So how do I want to start? Well, how about something like it is simply, or how about I want to put something that's kind of like in conclusion. Let's do that one. In conclusion, or how about therefore? That's a good transition word because we're supposed to use transition words. Therefore, it is unfair and wrong to limit people to only certain kinds of service animals in public. Each person has unique needs and requires a unique animal. Not everyone fits into the same mold. Something like that. The new law should be removed. Exclamation mark, because I'm really serious about it. And that's my conclusion. Do I give do in my conclusion and in the body, does it look like I've really sort of told them my point of view? Have I given everything that is needed? I've given proof from the articles? Yes, I think I have. And I don't even remember what time we started, but let's give ourselves this thing a title. It's how about unique animals for unique people? How about that? And then that's it. Ta-da! That is my persuasive. It is basically done. There's not much left I can do to make it look all fancy. What I can do is I can click it all. I can get rid of all of the underline. I can get rid of everything else so that all I have is the paper. Dun, 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 dun. All finished. There is a source in each one of these paragraphs. So that is a good job. So when you get to this point, now you have a rough draft. So you leave it. You save, you pause your test, and then you log out. You get out of there. Leave the typing part as what you got so far, because on the 5th day, on the Friday when we come back, you only need about 5, maybe 10 minutes max, where you're going to have gone home, gotten good rest. You've looked at you've kind of considered what you wrote. You remember it in your head. You still have your little outline. And you can think of, okay, is there anything that I missed? Do I need to add transition words more? Do I have to add more description? Did I use all my sources? And if you do that and you think about it, if there's anything you need to do, then when you come back on Friday, you open it up and you go, okay, okay, boom. And you go over and just change or tweak or do whatever little thing you need to do. But you're not changing huge amounts of information. It's just another check. What else can I check for? Well, remember it said you want to check for spelling and grammar and punctuation. Well, I want to do that. You want to look at it and go, okay, well, it looks like it's okay. And you want to read it. Maybe you can whisper reading it out loud. Service animals are a great help for many people. They provide comfort, help. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. And maybe you'll catch it that way. Sometimes if you read it out loud, you can actually do better. You can find more mistakes, okay? So I'm going to leave that here because I don't want to take this too long, but we're going to take this exact same thing and we're going to flip it in about 5 minutes. I'm going to try 5 minutes. We're going to try 5 minutes. 5 minutes and turn this into an argumentative, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to see you in a few moments.